As Abby and I were contemplating this final stretch of our count between Pesach and Shavuot, we thought about how it would be an amazing opportunity to use this time to work on maintaining mindful marriages. When we're counting from Pesach to Shavuot, this isn't the only count in the Torah. And we have two counts, one of them, this count from Pesach to Shavuot, and also the count that a woman has between when she is in a state of tum'ah to a state of tahara, in which the Torah uses a parallel language. When it comes to the Omer, the Torah says, Usfartem lachem. And when it comes to a woman's personal count, the Torah says, V'sefra la. She should count for herself. So the group, the nation counts for itself, and the individual counts for itself. The Zohar picks up on this parallel language. And the Zohar comments that when it comes to processes, when we're moving from one state to another in our lives, it's impossible to jump rungs. It's impossible to just get there in one step. This is always a journey that needs to be taken one step gradually, one step at a time. Abby, where does this hit you as a therapist?
It really resonates with me, these words of the Zohar. It really puts into context, puts into words marital theory and couples work. And when we think about an approach to working on our marriage, we have to think about it in terms of the long haul, whether it's rungs that we're climbing or it's stages that we're moving through. Either version or any version really is okay, but to think about the long haul of a marriage. Marriages aren't worked on or fixed in a day or a week or even a pandemic time. The work of marriage is something that happens over a large period of time. And I think it's important to recognize that there are going to be ups and downs in a marriage, and couples will fall down, and the challenge will always be to get back up, and how do we get back up? And I often use the example of the heart rate machine that you might find in a hospital, taking pace of a person's heartbeat. And what we want to see, the good to see, is the ups and the downs. It's the rise and the fall. That is a sign of life. That's positive. When you see the straight line, that's not positive. When you're seeing just that means there is no life. And so if we can understand, we can take for ourselves that in a marriage, signs of life are ups and downs. And I would really strongly encourage couples during this time specifically of Corona, and I know it's not a defined amount of time. That's one of the largest challenges, is we don't know when this is ending or how it's going to end and what it's going to look like, is as much as possible for couples to ride the waves, to notice what stage they are in their journey, to maybe climb a rung or to maybe go down a rung, but to be aware of that. And that's okay. Again, we're looking for the signs of life. We're looking for the movement, and that's all very significant.
Beautiful. So one final point I'd like to bring in this idea is that in this language, we have these two parallel counts in this language of la. Our commentators point out the language of la and the language of lachem. Count for yourself, both as she counts for herself and the nation counts for itself. And another comment that they make on this is that no two individuals' processes are the same, and there's no parallel, there's no looking and saying that, oh, okay, that person's climbing in Kedusha really, really quickly, that person seems to be growing in amazing rates, why aren't I doing that same process? What are you thinking about with that, Abby?
I really love those two psukim and how they represent what needs to be happening in a healthy marriage. There are the two parts of the marriage, there are the two individuals, and as I explain it, it's his space and her space. There's two separate entities that have to exist within a marriage. And then there's a third space, and that's the marriage. And it's a separate unit. And so one major goal and one major piece that we want to try to maintain or try to achieve is differentiation within the marriage. Now, this isn't easy, and it isn't easy in general, and it would need to be practiced extensively, I think, and potentially this time period, this corona, this pandemic crisis that's going on might be an opportunity for couples to begin to see each other as two separate entities, something that maybe wouldn't have happened in normal life. But to recognize we might be experiencing this pandemic differently and to be able to see each other as two separate entities. And in relationship to the Uspartam Lachem, that the second pasuk, the other pasuk, is that it speaks to the third unit, okay? That the couple is the third unit. And what goes on in your home, in your marriage, is uniquely yours. And it's very different from what might be going on with anybody else. Whether you're noticing that your friends are doing baking classes and learning new languages and all of these things, you need to focus on what's going on inside your home and what works for your family. And I think an important thing to keep in mind specifically is you never know what's actually going on in somebody else's house. Even if you think you know, you don't know. And that hopefully can let you focus more on what's going on within your own home. And I think it's also important to note here with this idea of differentiation, as well as recognizing the strength and the value of the couple's unit, is to also recognize that now is not a time to be taking a magnifying glass to your marriage. Potentially during times of crisis, okay, the little cracks that may exist in a marriage can come rumbling to the surface, and it's dangerous. And it's unhealthy, and we're not looking for what he did wrong, what she said wrong. We're not looking to nitpick at each other, but perhaps because there's such a change of pace in everybody's life, and potentially there's an opportunity for growth in this. The two partners are around more. There potentially is an opportunity to share household responsibilities, to split child rearing responsibilities differently, and to be able to zoom out of your marriage and look at it kind of like a bird's eye view and notice, with all the shifts that are going on, what could look different here, instead of taking the magnifying glass and saying what is wrong here.
So we're going to spend the next 6 conversations exploring a lot of what you just condensed very quickly at the end here. And I look forward to this process with all of you, with climbing rungs in our own personal ways and as an individual and as a couple. And we invite you to join us at our next little release as we discuss reimagining space. Bye.